We're joined by MSNBC aviation analyst and former FAA National Transportation Safety Board investigator Jeff Guzzetti. Jeff, one of the reactions to the new video, and we'll show some of that, is that was this consistent with Russian anti-aircraft artillery? Number two, what else could it be when we look at the holes that are in the rear part of this airplane, the video that we just got in?
Hi, Richard. Well, I think it is consistent with a potential scenario of a missile, something that shoots shrapnel at aircraft. Other possible causes could be an explosive engine malfunction or a flight control malfunction. But really, with all of the information coming in, to include these videos of a splatter of holes in the vertical stabilizer and the left horizontal stabilizer does make it more and more consistent with some sort of a missile strike, a shrapnel strike that, again, is also consistent with the controllability problems of the airplane.
Now, this is the rear part of the airplane, right, Jeff? And how important is this rear part of the airplane for keeping, as it moves forward, stabilized and moving straight forward in a controlled fashion?
Well, that portion of the airplane is literally called the horizontal stabilizer and the vertical stabilizer. It stabilizes the aircraft aerodynamically in flight. So if there's damage to those tail feathers, to the movable surfaces on that tail, it most definitely could cause significant controllability problems for the pilot in terms of pitching the airplane and rolling the airplane. And when you look at the video of the airplane just before it impacted the ground, you can see a steep pitch angle and then leveling off and then
yeah, let's look at that video.
An attitude in which it can't land safely, and then the explosion. So the tail and the coincidence of showing shrapnel on the left side of the horizontal and vertical stabilizers is, again, consistent with a potential shoot down.
Tough to tell as we, again, look at this video, which is hard to watch for many. The angle that it's descending, not an aviation expert am I, but, it's not going straight down. And what do you make of its angle of descent and its speed? And I know you don't know necessarily the details because all we have is this video. What do you make of it?
Well, it appears to me that the crew was, absolutely trying to set this airplane down and was having difficulty with controlling the pitch attitude of the airplane. And at that airspeed, it was a fairly significant airspeed because you got to keep the airplane flying, you got to keep the wings flying. If you don't impact at the proper attitude on the landing gear, you can do a significant amount of damage, as we see in that video. Fortunately, the tail section broke off and was thrown clear of the fireball. And that's, again, indicative of a crew that was attempting to land the airplane in an emergency landing in an uncontrollable situation. It looks very similar to the video you might have seen from the famous United Airlines Sioux City accident, where the crew had all three hydraulic systems knocked out and had to control the airplane with engine power, differential engine power. That's what this video kind of reminds me of. Again, consistent with a flight control malfunction.
Sure. Jeff, when we look at this video, was the pilot and co-pilot, were they close, or was this just not a possibility? Because, when you look at the video, you're looking at it as it hits the ground, it appears that it looked like it was possible, but again, it's hard to tell. How close was the pilot to getting this down safely, or if you will, without the fireball?
It's tough to say, but it does look like he was at a fairly level attitude. In fact, when you look at it, you think, wow, they're going to make it. It's going to be able to actually set down in a level attitude, but it wasn't level enough. And it's an indication that they attempted an emergency landing with some sort of major problem, but just didn't quite get it there. And this is an off-field emergency landing. So to me, it shows that the crew was dealing with some significant problems, controllability problems. They almost got there, but couldn't quite make it. Right. But still, to their credit, there were close to 30 people that survived.
That's right, over
this
2 dozen,
horrific
29. Yeah, Remark on that. 29 that survived from this. This plane holds about 100, no more, generally speaking. But if you look at a third of them surviving that, why did that happen?
Again, it's incredible. And I think the reason it happened is partly because it did not impact in a very steep, out of control attitude. There was some control to it when it hit the ground. Secondly, the tail section was thrown clear of the wing section, which contains all the fuel. And so that protected it from the massive fireball that you see. And again, very similar circumstances to this United Airlines Sioux City accident that happened in the late 80s. Captain Al Haynes was hailed as a hero because about a third of those passengers survived that event because they made their best attempt to actually set the airplane down in a flat, normal attitude. So crash dynamics and who is seated where sometimes determines who lives and who dies.
Jeff Guzzetti, thank you so much.